Philippines, where conditions are dire, and the people of that country are reeling from shock as they warn the victims from the worst typhoon to ever hit land. So far, the Red Cross estimates that 1,200 people have died, but that number is expected to rise as crews reach remote areas and search regions where the devastation is being described as horrific. And making matters even worse, we have news that another storm is approaching that region. Let's get right to David Piper, who has been streaming live for us from Bangkok. David?
Hi, Uma. The true scale of the death and destruction is only just becoming apparent in the Philippines, and the death toll is likely to rise considerably in the next few days. The Typhoon Haiyan smashed into the Philippines Friday, packing winds of nearly 200 miles per hour. Experts believe it could be the strongest typhoon to make landfall in recorded history. The central Philippines felt the brunt of the storm. Communities were ripped apart as the strong winds flung vehicles about and tore down buildings. 15-foot high waves from a storm surge flooded coastal towns and villages. Landslides and trees have blocked roads, hampering the relief effort. There is still no communications with many communities, and it's been difficult to find out so far what has happened on some islands. The worst area reached by rescue teams so far is the coastal city of Tacloban. It was engulfed by a storm surge, and aviation officials say flight crews reported bodies on the streets. The roads are still blocked leading from the local airport into Tacloban, and the only way in is by helicopter. The United Nations disaster assessment team that has reached the city reports a scene of devastation. The head of the team said he hadn't seen a similar scale of destruction since the Indian Ocean tsunami. The Philippine Red Cross says at least 1,000 people have died in just this one city. The military is now making relief flights to the hardest hit areas, but it's still not clear the scale of the devastation yet. The typhoon is now moving across the South China Sea and is expected to hit central Vietnam on Sunday. 170,000 troops have been mobilized there, and a massive evacuation of over 200,000 people from the coast is now underway. Vietnam has already been hammered by 2 recent typhoons. And Uma, we're not out of the typhoon season yet. There's just 2 months still to go. Back to you.
Those images are incredible. David, thank you very much. Well, from bad to worse, let's go down to meteorologist Janice Dean, who said another storm is on its way to that already devastated region. More torrential downpours are expected. Janice?
Yeah, Uma, unfortunately, taking a look at the storm, we have a storm that's going to form in the next couple of days that's going to take a very similar path to this super typhoon. So there we are right now. The sustained winds upon landfall, 195 miles per hour, which we think would make it the strongest typhoon, super typhoon, really tropical cyclone on record to make landfall at that strength. So as David mentioned, it's moving towards Vietnam. We think it's going to kind of hug the coast over the next several days, and it will weaken, which is good news. But as Uma mentioned, we have another storm forecast models are predicting will go along the same path as Super Typhoon Haiyan. As you can see, there's the path. Watch what happens. So there's Haiyan right there. And as we look at the global forecast modeling, you can see another storm forming. It will not be the strong typhoon that we saw hitting this area over the last several days, but it's still going to cause some problems for an already very vulnerable area. Even just a rainstorm is going to cause some problems for this area, and it's going to follow along the same path. So this is something we're going to have to monitor very carefully. If you want to make a comparison, at its strongest, Katrina, 165 mile per hour sustained winds, and Haiyan, 195 mile per hour sustained winds. Uma, this could be the strongest storm ever to make landfall in recorded history. Back to you.
Well, Janice, thank you very much for that update.